You turn off the lights, pull your blanket up, and sink into your bed. Your pillow is soft. Your room is warm. A tiny screen beside you tells you exactly what time it is. You close your eyes, expecting the darkness to disappear. But then your brain refuses to cooperate. You turn over. You check the clock. 3:17 a.m. And suddenly you remember you have school, work, or something important tomorrow. Now imagine having the exact same problem 100,000 years ago. Except there is no clock, no phone, no electric light, no mattress. And outside your shelter, the darkness is filled with sounds you cannot identify. So, what did your ancestors actually do when they couldn't sleep? The answer is stranger than you might expect. Because for ancient humans, being awake at night wasn't necessarily a problem to solve. Sometimes, it was simply part of life. First, forget the image of prehistoric humans collapsing onto bare dirt and immediately falling asleep. Your ancestors cared about comfort. At Border Cave in South Africa, archaeologists found evidence of grass bedding dating back roughly 200,000 years. The plant material had been deliberately arranged, creating a softer surface for people to sit, work, and sleep on. That's an incredibly old mattress. It wasn't memory foam, but it was an attempt to make the ground less miserable. And your ancestors had another technology that completely transformed nighttime: fire. At archaeological sites across Africa and Eurasia, controlled fire appears repeatedly in evidence of ancient human activity, with some evidence for human use of fire stretching hundreds of thousands of years into the past. Fire gave you warmth, it gave you light, and most importantly, it gave you a small piece of control over the darkness. Imagine sitting beside it. Everything outside the circle of orange light disappears. You hear the wind. You hear animals moving somewhere beyond the shelter. But inside the firelight, there are other humans. You are not alone. And that matters more than you might think. Because when you wake up today, you experience the night differently. Your bedroom is usually silent. Your family might be in another room. Your friends could be thousands of kilometers away. Your ancestors often slept much closer together. A sleeping group could mean warmth, protection, and information. If you woke up, someone else might already be awake. Maybe a child was crying. Maybe someone was tending the fire. Maybe two people were quietly talking. Maybe someone had simply woken up too. Here's what nobody tells you about prehistoric sleep. Your ancestors probably didn't have one universal sleep schedule. Humans lived across enormous environments, from African grasslands to cold Eurasian landscapes, and sleep patterns changed with climate, season, shelter, culture, and social conditions. Historian Roger E. Kirch famously found hundreds of historical references to first sleep and second sleep, suggesting that segmented nighttime sleep existed in some pre-industrial societies. But researchers have debated how widespread that pattern really was. So don't imagine every ancient human waking at exactly midnight for an hour of peaceful thinking. The reality was messier. Some people probably slept for long stretches. Some woke repeatedly. Some stayed awake for a while before returning to sleep. And some probably had terrible nights. Just like you. The difference was what they did while they were awake. Imagine opening your eyes inside a prehistoric shelter. You can't check the time. You can't scroll through social media. You can't turn on Netflix. You listen. The fire crackles. Someone breathes nearby. The wind moves outside. And eventually, you might talk. That sounds boring to us. But for your ancestors, Nighttime conversation could be valuable. Stories could teach children. Information could be exchanged. Relationships could be strengthened. The night wasn't necessarily wasted time. It was social time. And there's another reason waking up could be useful. Someone had to pay attention. Your ancestors couldn't lock a door and assume everything outside would stay outside. There could be predators. There could be rival groups. There could be sudden weather. There could simply be something moving nearby. But don't imagine prehistoric humans spending every night terrified of predators. Their environments were different, and the actual dangers varied enormously depending on where and when they lived. Still, darkness creates one universal problem. You can't see what is happening, and humans are extremely sensitive to uncertainty. A small sound can wake you instantly. You freeze, you listen. Was that an animal? Was it the wind? Was it another person? Your brain wants an answer. Your ancestors had the same basic nervous system you do, but they had something you often don't. Other people listening with them. If you woke because of a strange noise, you didn't necessarily have to figure it out alone. There's no sleep tracker, no app giving you a score, no internet search telling you that waking at 3 a.m. meant something terrible. They simply experienced wakefulness, and eventually they slept again. That's not to say ancient humans had perfect sleep. They absolutely didn't. Their sleeping environments could be cold, uncomfortable, noisy, dangerous, and full of insects. But they had something we sometimes forget. Humans are incredibly adaptable. Give us darkness, and we make fire. Give us cold ground, and we make bedding. Give us danger, and we stay together. Give us a sleepless night, and eventually we learn how to live through it. Tonight, you'll probably do something your ancestors could never imagine. You'll climb into a soft mattress. You'll pull a blanket over yourself. You'll turn off a light with one finger. And your room will become completely dark. For a few seconds, everything will be quiet. Then maybe your brain will start thinking. Maybe you'll remember something embarrassing. Maybe you'll worry about tomorrow. Maybe you'll turn over and check the time. And if you wake at 3 a.m., you'll probably feel like something has gone wrong. But remember what that moment really is. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans have been doing this, opening their eyes in darkness, listening, waiting, wondering when sleep will return. Your ancestors had grass instead of memory foam, fire instead of electricity, other humans instead of notifications, and darkness instead of a glowing phone. But the basic experience was still yours. Your ancestors stared into the darkness too. They just had the stars above them, and you have a ceiling, but you're still waiting for the same thing: sleep.